you've got a question from Facebook question, Bill. Go ahead and bring that up.
Yeah, Kevin Smith talked about how he was driving on I-77 every day, and Kevin said if you're in the toll lane to avoid heavy traffic and then you have to merge back through the traffic to get off, how is that going to be effective? And the short answer, Kevin, it's not going to be. It is not going to work. We've said it. It's bad for business. It's bad for commerce. It's bad for the citizens. It's bad for our communities. This is something we're going to cancel that contract.
He does bring up a great point, which is I have been concerned for commerce that once you pay to get on that toll lane, you're not getting off because you want to keep going through, and you certainly don't want to have to pass over 3 lanes of traffic, which, if it's working properly, they're not moving, right? So,
Joe, if you've been sitting there for 40 minutes waiting and you're sitting bumper to bumper traffic, you gonna let somebody cut in front of you?
Well, because I'm on Facebook Live right now, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna let you in. But the reality is, commerce is going to change dramatically. What's also going to happen, Bill, is the pattern for commerce is going to change because these exits that they're going to create are going to change each one of the current exits in a way that I don't know how to advise a small business person what that's going to look like till it's over with.
Well, your buddy Tom McMahon was interviewed the other day. It's already impacting us. It's impacting people just from the perception of what they're going to be dealing with, and they're already making decisions. So, again, it's something that we're going to have to address. The CRTPO meets this coming Wednesday. We'll be hearing the recommendations from Mercator advisors. They will take those recommendations to DOT, and hopefully we'll get one of the alternatives that we're looking for. But we were talking about those alternatives before we went to break.
Okay, yeah. So the first one is just cancel the contract.
Right.
That's number one. And you think there is a reasonable opportunity that they might consider that?
I think there's an opportunity. Anything can happen, yes.
Okay. Then DOT buys out the contract, but allows Sentra, this is number 2, allows Sentra to build both lanes. One of them becomes a general purpose lane, and the other one still becomes a managed lane that they would operate.
Man, I think the state of North Carolina would operate it
because it would just be a single. Right. It'd be harder for them to make
They would buy
profit.
Sentra completely out of it.
Okay. And then what's the third one?
I think the third scenario would be to take the shoulders that we have now that people sometimes they pull off on the shoulders for emergency vehicles or such not. They could actually take those shoulders and harden them for regular transportation, and then during peak driving times, we say like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, they would allow that to be an extra general purpose lane. Now they would have to pay a penalty to Sentra for using that as a general purpose lane, but that's an alternative, and they're doing that in other states now, so that is a real possibility.
Other than the part about we have to pay them for it, I love that concept. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
I think that is a scenario that they're really looking at hard. I think that's one of them. There is the alternative that they broached that none of us felt like was an alternative at all, and that's taking people that were going to be driving in the HOT lanes and offering them discounts if they use them on a very frequent basis, almost like frequent flyers. Right. That's not a scenario that's going to appeal to anybody in Lake Norman. So that scenario, and then there's always we're not going to do anything at all. And I'm going to tell you something, Joe. I can't even recount the number of times that we've been to Charlotte or Raleigh on this issue. It seems to be that DOT and the governor and his staff have been very receptive. They've been talking. They've been engaged. They have seemed to care. And if at the end of the day nothing comes of this, they ought to be given the Academy Award because they sincerely look like they are trying to make a difference.
But Bill, that's why you're here today. That's why we're doing this on Facebook Live. That's why we're having this conversation. We see some hope. I mean, we think there may be some changes to this arrangement.
But make no mistake. Make no mistake. If at the end of the day they pave this road, they make these improvements, they put in the tolling, and they make no changes to the contract, we will not stop until the day that we have an additional general purpose lane. We will not stop.
Never quit. Never give in. So, for all of us out there that are driving, getting ready to get back on 77 on a Friday afternoon, and I read somewhere that the amount of accidents has gone up substantially. What's the timing of all of this? Have you heard what's happening? Because I keep getting different dates. Different sections are going to open up at different times. Do you have any information on that?
I was under the understanding that at the probably the last quarter of next year we're going to be open for business. But again, they're working pretty fast, and I think it's all dependent on weather. They can't pour concrete and asphalt when we have daily rains at 5:30 in the afternoon. So, but they're going at breakneck speed and trying to get some things done. The debris in the roads, it's been well documented. It has been some safety issues. It's a nightmare out there in terms of the construction and what's been going on. I think NCDOT could have done a much better job if they would have done this in-house versus using this independent contractor.
And now, the last thing, and then we're going to bring on a guest. I'm curious, Bill. There is a new election that's getting ready to gear up in all of our small towns, all across, all the way up and down 77. There have been more and more candidates that have applied that are against the toll lanes than I think ever before. And they're this new generation that have sort of been against it from the beginning. Do you think that's going to be a major factor in this local political season that's happening? Or is the 77 so far along that that choice is no longer something they need to consider?
Well, look at the people who are running for office. It's people who are not veteran politicians. They didn't aspire to be politicians. They're just fed up. They're fed up with the way things are. I mean, whether you look at the president today, Donald Trump, he had no prior elective experience. He was fed up with the way the things are going in the country. But I think people are looking at things and saying, I can't stand back anymore and just allow this to continue. And so they're taking things in their own hand. And people are using the ballot box to make change. So if you're happy with the way that things are, continuing to elect the people that have been there. If you're not happy, then go vote and make change.
Right. And isn't that what this country is? It's founded on.
Sure.
I mean, isn't it wonderful that anybody can pay $5 and run for office?
Everybody can pay $5. They may not all be able to win.